We, at the city of Rockford, there's no denying that we've had a violent crime problem in our community. And when you look at the violent crime, I believe we've done a pretty tremendous job, and our police department has done an unbelievable job partnering with our community, and we've seen a 31% reduction since 2017 in violent crime. It's a phenomenal numbers. But I have to tell you, those numbers are said with a little bit of mixed feelings, because you look at the fact that still in 2019, 37.7% of all of our violent crime was domestic violence related. We're still arresting young people for violent offenses, and more than 60% of these young people that we arrest for violent offenses grew up in households with domestic violence being present or direct victims. We as a community, and I think it's evident by the number of people who are here today, we have to address domestic violence differently in our community than we have historically. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say we wouldn't be where we're at today with this announcement without so many other people's work that far predate when I came into office. So this has nothing to do with me, but more to do with the community coming together to tackle domestic violence differently and with a focus and a lens of how can we do better for survivors of domestic violence and their children. So a little bit of history. In November of 2018, our city council approved a pretty unique office on domestic violence and human trafficking prevention. We then moved forward in January with the hiring of Jennifer Cachapalia, who I'll just say we wouldn't be where we're at in this process without Jennifer for certain. And we're fortunate at the city to have Jennifer working for us. So as Jennifer does, she filed for a grant within about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of being in the office, and we got to have some really wonderful phone calls with our wonderful federal delegation. And the first phone call that we had was to Congresswoman Cheri Bustos. And the support that we received from Congresswoman Bustos, Congressman Kinzinger, Senators Durbin and Duckworth, I have to tell you, was phenomenal. They wanted to address this and were very supportive of us in our efforts. So since filing that grant and winning that grant, we have now interviewed more than 200 survivors in our community. As a community, we have now held more than 50 community sessions regarding a family peace center. We, in one breakfast, raised $65,000 to get technical assistance in the development of the Family Peace Center. In May of 2019, we held a 2-day strategic plan. And if you think about this, a 2-day strategic plan does not sound like a lot of fun. And that strategic planning sessions took place in the middle of the week. And we had 250 community partners come out to those sessions. Thank you. It should be a huge round of applause to the community who are taking this so seriously. Today, we now have 5 working committees that meet a minimum of once per month and have over 100 volunteers collectively on those 5 committees. The amount of dedication and the time and energy that these individuals are giving, from a finance committee to a governance committee, and probably to my favorite committee, the Voices Committee, is remarkable. We did all this, as I said previously, through the lens of how do we ensure that survivors are treated better, and how do we ensure that everything we do is survivor-centered and focused. So the space that we're in right now will soon transform over the next 6 months to be our Phase 1 Family Peace Center. This is a huge initiative that we would not be here without so many community partners. But to me, I really look at what a Family Peace Center could be for the city of Rockford and our broader community, really in just 3 simple areas. First, I should say, I really think the Family Peace Center speaks to the values of Rockfordians. The values that, number one, we want to listen to folks, and specifically survivors. Number two, we want to believe our survivors. And number three, this space, when it's fully transformed, we want this space to provide hope to our survivors, that they're not alone and that tomorrow is going to be a far better day because their community supports them and will provide the services that they need when they need them.
As the mayor said, you're standing in our phase 1 location. So we are extraordinarily excited to be announcing that this is our space. It's been a long year, although we have moved quickly. There's been a lot of impatience around getting here because we have such a sense of urgency to do everything that we possibly can for our survivors. And the space is important. It's a milestone without question, but we really have a lot of people to talk about and to thank. And that's really what's going to continue to move this needle in Rockford, Illinois, and Winnebago County as we look at the system and where it needs to be changed and improved so that we can build a better response to domestic and sexual violence. It's really about the people, and I want to just talk about a few of them today. I have to start with mentioning somebody that I get to work with every day, who comes to work and meets the intensity that we have around this work with just unwavering dedication. And we are just blessed to have recruited her, is how I'll describe it, to get her to come to the city, and that's Sierra Kellen, our project manager for the Family Peace Center. For those of you who have been able to work with Sierra, you know that this work is something that she's passionate about and dedicated to, and without her, we wouldn't be where we are today. The second group of people I have to talk about really are the partners that the mayor has already spoken of, and that's our volunteers and our work groups. We, as he said, have over 125 volunteers who come together. And what I want you to think about when we talk about these volunteers is these aren't people whose names are on a list that will fill in whenever we need them. These are people who are coming to meetings every single month, sometimes several times a month, answering emails, answering telephone calls, and providing their expertise and guidance, and sometimes just some support when it seems like things are a little bit rough. So we wouldn't be here without them either. We have to also thank all 11 of our MOU partners. If you are an MOU partner with us, could you just raise your hand if you're in the room today? So we have people in the community who, as the mayor said, has been doing this work for years. And we are so grateful that they've laid a foundation for us to launch off of. We also wouldn't be here without them. The final group of people that we have to talk about, in my humble opinion, are the most important people in this work and in this movement, and that is the survivors. We have a Voices subcommittee that is made up entirely of survivors from this community. These are women who come together and who have said that they are going to give back. And we have been smart enough to sit down and listen to them. We tried to build a response to domestic and sexual violence decades ago without their voices, and we will not make that mistake again. They are leading this work, not only in the Family Peace Center structure, but in the entire framework of our office. And if you ever have the opportunity to sit with a survivor, just do yourself a favor and take the time. Because who you're sitting with is someone who exhibits and represents a physical manifestation of resiliency, of hope, of love, and of fierce dedication to make their community better and do something for those that are still struggling to get out and to prevent others from falling into the situation that they found themselves in.
Good afternoon. I am Beth Edge, a survivor and here to represent the Voices Committee and honor the people who didn't survive or those who don't yet feel empowered to break the silence and seek help. It is our vision to create a community free of domestic and sexual violence. Our mission as a Voices Committee is to be an advisory council for the Family Peace Center, comprised of empowered survivors of domestic and sexual assault. We are building a safer community through public education, survivor support, personal healing, and advocacy for change. Currently, the way survivors seek help and receive services is very daunting and sometimes overwhelming on what is conceivably one of the worst days in their lives. Having to go to multiple locations and agency throughout the Winnebago County area. Imagine yourself rushing into a strange building, children in tow, You were scared, hurt, and have no place to find rest and find safety. Then, instead of walking into a gray, gloomy building, you opened the door to the Rockford Family Peace Center to find a calm and reassuring voice, a safe space to sit and rest. A volunteer offers you some coffee and a snack. A volunteer offers to show your children to the playroom. All of a sudden, getting help seems a little less frightening, and there's a glimpse of something you didn't believe you'd ever find again: hope. Voices Committee members experience growth and empowerment as they carry out projects that aid and support others who are going through what they went through. Voices members offer a unique experience of a group of people who were once completely isolated to connect and form bonds through a shared experience and a common goal of helping others find hope and healing. The committee provides opportunities for survivors to find and use their voices and to help others rediscover theirs. We want the Family Peace Center to be a space where you are seen and heard, where you are safe and celebrated, where you can breathe. I believe you, and we're in this together.
If you want to know what success looks like, literally just look around this room. Because the best communities, and we have hundreds of communities in this congressional district, but the best communities do exactly what is going on right here today in Rockford. It is bringing together the federal government, the county government, local, state, the private sector, the public sector, first responders, the Voices Committee. This is how you make something happen. And Mayor and Jen, I want to congratulate you to the Voices Committee and the difference that you made in putting this together. I want to congratulate you. Beth, thank you for doing all you can do to make a difference. Coming up here and getting in front of this crowd is not easy, and you did that, so thank you. And thanks to the Voices Committee for bringing the message that needed to be heard to make this the most successful Family Peace Center that anybody can ever imagine. Even the name of it, Mayor and Jen, even the name of it is just absolutely perfect. So I was having a side conversation with Jen over here, and it was 2 weeks into her tenure when she went after this grant, all right? And she said, we didn't know if we were crazy to do this, but along with Senator Durbin, always my partner in anything that I do in Washington, D.C. to help our communities in Illinois, along with Senator Durbin, we were able to get that $450,000 grant. What has happened from over the last year is I am now on what's considered the most powerful committee in all of Congress, the Appropriations Committee. Senator Durbin is also on the Appropriations Committee on the Senate side. So we are well positioned as Jen enters a little bit longer into her tenure and wants to go after some additional federal funding. I can tell you we will do all we can to help make sure that this is successful at every single turn. My background before I went to Congress was I was a reporter for 17 years. I started out on the crime beat. And so I have covered many, many stories of domestic violence. I have looked at court records, spent a lot of time looking at court records. At one point doing a deep investigative piece on the origin of kids getting involved in crime. And Mayor, to your point, that 40% of all crime has its foundation in domestic violence is exactly the kind of story that I saw way too often. So to try to address this in Rockford, it cannot be said more strongly how important this is. And Mayor, I just want to congratulate you. Jen, I want to congratulate you for a job well done, not yet finished, and it won't be finished for a long time, but I am here to be your partner. I am here to be your partners as well, to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help our families succeed, help kids succeed, and help the survivors of domestic violence succeed in this community. So thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here for this announcement today. Thank you.